one of the biggest drivers of self-sabotage that I see in my practice. My name is Brie Sodano. I'm a personal finance expert, the founder from Sheep to Shark. I invented the invisible system to stop bleeding money and start stacking cash. And I run a 6-month money coaching program called Shark School, where I help people to match their money goals to their life goals and make a plan that makes sense. All right, so today I want to talk to you about fear and self-sabotage. In the last couple of weeks, I've worked with a lot of women who are super smart, making good money, and self-sabotaging something terrible. And here's what I'm finding. There's a couple main fears that we really have around money. One of them is that if we have too much money, we're going to lose a sense of ourselves or the people that love us. So for example, like feeling like your family doesn't like rich people, so if you got ahead financially, you wouldn't be part of your community anymore. You wouldn't be part of your tribe anymore. Sometimes we have a fear of failure, like we're going to try and we're not going to be good enough. It's not going to be enough, and we're going to fail, and it's going to be embarrassing. We're going to have to face like shame and that sort of thing, right? And then we have fear of success. So it's like, well, what if I do this and I succeed, but it's usually like the same fear of not being good enough, but I'm not actually good enough to keep it up, or I'm not actually confident in my abilities, or I'm not actually sure that I could get clients, or I'm not actually sure about any of this, right? And so there's that. And then at the base level, most of the fear that we have that drives financial sabotage is like the fear of not being good enough, right? So if we feel like we're not good enough at what we do or who we are or our communities or whatever, like that stuff will cause, if left unattended, if left unexamined, will cause us to do crazy things that make us like financially disastrous. So one of the big self-sabotages that I see is not paying bills. Now, in the last couple of weeks, I've seen 3 different clients, all with the financial means to pay something off, not do it. They felt like they didn't have the money. They felt like they were scared to spend the money because they were going to need it for something else. And in all 3 cases, those clients all needed good credit to be able to accomplish something big. And so the not paying the bill was the self-sabotaging behavior that was preventing them from taking their next step financially. So I had one client who wants to build a building, right? And so she needs financing for this. This couple makes a lot of money, like a real lot. And it was a very small, like less than $500 credit card bill that was behind. And so when I see that, I'm like, that is a very clear self-sabotage. The cost to your credit was way more than the cost of paying off the credit card, right? And so this is like a way that we self-sabotage. And so I see it, but we never self-sabotage on purpose. Nobody says, oh, I like to self-sabotage on Tuesdays. This is how I prefer to do it. We do these things kind of under the radar. Like it's our subconscious that's like, I'm a little scared about buying that investment property, so we're just not going to pay the bill, and then we're not going to be able to do it because our credit's going to be shot, right? And so that's it. Another way that I see self-sabotage happening is going back to school when it's not necessary. I've talked to a lot of clients who are ready, wanting to start something, wanting to have their own business, and instead of doing like their money-making activities and getting started, finding clients, finding customers, they find a reason to go back to school for a master's degree, a doctorate, another program. And I find that this is a common tactic. This is more common for women. I see it much more often in women. And the tactic is really to busy themselves with something that seems important, that seems like it needs to be done, but is actually not in the direction of the goal. So here's a perfect example. I had a client who already had her master's degree. And she was working as a social worker. She wanted a side practice. She already had everything that she needed to be able to do that. And she was going to go back to school for another master's degree to be more qualified to do the side practice that she was already capable of doing. And so that's a huge financial and a huge time commitment. So basically the way that the fear works is it's 2 things. So one, it puts you deeper in debt, way deeper in debt. The second thing is it's 2 years, 3 years of distraction, right? And so this is another way that people are nervous. Like this is another way that you'll see fear being executed in their financials. Okay, another thing is taking meaningless action. So a lot of times, let's just say financially, I want to go from here to here, right? I want to go from wherever I am right now to something way better. And instead of just doing the things that get me there, we go here, we organize our office, we call our friends, we talk about stuff, and we never really get into action, or we take action that doesn't actually get us from here to here. It's more like we take like this zigzag approach, and a lot of times that's just fear that's coming up. And so the fear is what's like, oh well, we're going to take action because that's what's going to satisfy the front part and the back part of your brain. Like they're working on two different agendas. Like it's like like Batman and Robin, you know? And so sometimes we have these disagreements with ourselves, and basically it's like, all right, well, we'll do this, and it appeases the front side of the brain into thinking that we're doing something even though it doesn't actually get us to what we do. So meaningless actions. Another thing that I see pretty frequently, so this is the fourth way that I see major self-sabotage, is opening ourselves up to other people's emergencies. I see it all the time. A client will finally get some money in their savings account, and then all of a sudden, everyone that they know is having some sort of emergency that their money needs to go to. Sometimes it's their kids, their neighbors, their friends' kids, crazy things. So like we get this money, it makes us uncomfortable, we're worried about whatever, and then we get rid of it because then we can't actually execute on the thing that we wanted to do because now we don't have the money. All right, and then the biggest thing that I see a lot of people doing is selling themselves short on what they're capable of earning. I see this all the time. In fact, one time I had a client that came to see me. I mean, she was making like $24,000 with a degree, working, and she was doing like social work, social like therapy, and she had to go into her work at 5 a.m. She was seeing clients at 5 a.m. for peanuts. And so she came to see me, and I like lovingly shook the crap out of her a little bit. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And she was like, oh, I can't do better. This is what it is. That's like, there's just this whole line of like fear-based bullshit about why she couldn't be doing more. And I was like, you know, and I like lovingly shook her a little bit. Not like actually, she called me back a few months later that she got a job for 60. So I mean, she doubled her income, and it was literally just like fear of making moves, feeling small, feeling insignificant. So listen, your ego, there's a subconscious part of your brain that wants to keep you small. It wants to keep you safe because your brain is scared of losing, like feeling lovable, like losing your tribe. And so sometimes when we're making major moves in our finances, it really puts some of our relationships at risk. And that fear is legitimate and it's real and it needs to be addressed. But you're not going to address it through self-sabotage because then you don't get what you want, right? And then we have the fear of failure. We have the fear of success. We have the fear of not being good enough. And all these fears, if left unaddressed, will cause these self-sabotages, which will like keep perpetuating. I will see patterns of this in clients where they make the same financial mistakes decade after decade. And it's just not necessary. Sometimes when you really get to the bottom of the fear and you look at it, it just goes away because it was like, is your mom really not going to love you if you make $100,000 a year? No, of course not. She's going to be proud of you. She's going to be happy for you. And that's going to be like, but the fear is there and it doesn't have to be rational. And if you let it operate, then you don't ever get to look at it rationally. So a lot of the work that I do with clients is really looking at their fears and understanding them. So that way we can take actions in a way that mitigates them. So that way we can get past the self-sabotages.